The Lord is in this place, and he wasn't playing. We got the marching orders from our pastor, and I do believe God has me on assignment this morning to encourage you with the encouragement of his word, a little bit of a testimony, and that's all it is just an encouragement word this morning to all of us, to know that God has a plan. You just heard it. When he was saying, I was like, okay, now I know where you're coming from. God has a plan. Worship team started out a little bit of it. They gave you a little bit of singing over his plan. And one of our shepherds came up here and he delivered the plan. But there's a process in that plan. Come on. There's a process in that plan as believers in Jesus Christ that we have to follow. We have to follow this plan. I'm telling you, he dumped the word on us, but guess what? We have a choice to follow it. It's a plan. But we can do it. Amen. We can do it. Because guess what? God has a plan for you. He does. I'm going to say it again, because when I was one of those individuals that Pastor T was talking about that didn't feel worthy, that didn't feel no good, I didn't feel like nobody, I felt like I was trash. I felt like I was just an addict. I felt like nobody here could save me. I felt like God was done with me. He had a plan for me. He had a plan for me. And he has a plan for you. Every single person in this room, he has a plan for. He has a plan. But listen to what I'm saying right here. If I had to give a title, I guess it would be God's plan, not mine. God's plan, not mine. So when you do something weird and people think you're doing something funny or they're wondering why you're doing this, just tell them, hey, God's plan, not mine. When God has something for you to do, like he did Joshua and walk around 7 times, and somebody sees you do that, you just tell them, God's plan, not mine. And somebody says, hey, man, you don't come over no more and have some beers. Hey, man, God's plan, not mine. He told me to stop coming over. What do you mean? He just told me to stop coming over. Oh, so I'm the devil now? I don't know. God's plan, not mine. Sometimes you just got to go with God's flow. Amen. I learned that the hard way in my time trying to be who God has called me to be, trying to be delivered. But there's a process in God's plan. There's always a process. But I'm here to encourage you, my friend's house, that we need to stick with the plan. You got to stick with the plan. We have to. Because our plan will never work. I know my plan didn't work. I had plenty of plans. And guess what? I ain't doing none of them. I'm doing things that I totally didn't think that I could ever do in my whole life. I'm talking ways that I never thought I would talk. I'm going places I never thought I would go. I'm hugging like I never thought I would hug before. I'm smiling, laughing at dumb things. And I'm looking at each one of you guys knowing that God has a plan for me, because now I got good friends, good brothers and sisters. Someone who's going to lock arms with me, and we're going to do exactly what Pastor TC said, and we're going to go out there and do what God has called us to do. But hey, let's be real. Sometimes we still got issues. That's right. We still have characteristics that we need to work out. Is that cool to say that? Characteristics? Or you want me straight up with you? Okay. Sometimes we got little anger issues. We got a little disobedience going on. We got a little bit of, I don't want to go over there. Or we got a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Well, guess what? God has a plan. He has a plan. He has a plan to get you through that. He has a plan to stop making you, for you to stop getting so mad. He has a plan for you to stop lying. He has a plan for you to stop doing all kinds of things. Because guess what? He wants you to line up with his plan. Amen. He wants you to line up with his son's image.
Amen.
That's his plan. That's his plan. I know I struggle with anger. I used to struggle with anger, and I used to just outburst and do all kinds of things. And I never thought I could just get over it until God taught me a good plan, a simple plan. Just shut up, David. That's it. Just shut up, David. I said, that's your plan? Yeah, shut up. Shut up and don't say anything. Why? So I can talk to you. How many of y'all like to be heard? Like to be heard? Some of you men lying, but that's all right. How many like to be heard? I like to be heard. I'm telling you, man, I didn't think I like to be heard, but I like to be heard. When I'm in an argument, man, I don't want to get the last word. I just have to. That's my wife. I storm out of the room, say what I was going to say. She said she was going to say, and I go out. I come back 2 seconds later. She's like, you back again? I was like, I ain't done yet. But God had a plan. God has a plan for all of us to get rid of these things that are hindering us to feel his freedom. Things like that hinder us. We might not see him out in the open. I look nice, right? Y'all don't go to my house. Y'all know how I really act. You don't know, right? But God does. But guess what? He don't only want us to act free in this place and be free for a couple hours. He wants us to stay free.
That's right.
He wants us to stay free 24/7, 7 days a week. He wants us to be free from whatever is holding you. Not just we come in here for a little bit, then when you jump in your car, the chains lock back on. That weight gets back on your shoulder. God wants to set us free 24/7, but we have to stick with his plan. But I got news for you. It's a choice. It's a choice that we have to make as believers in Jesus Christ to follow his plan. My first verse I'll throw at you is Deuteronomy 30, verse 19. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. So choose life in order that you may live you and your descendants. Simple. Choose life. Choose the blessing, not the curse. Because let me tell you something. If we follow our own plan, it's death. It feels like a curse because we feel like we can't get out of our bondages. We feel like we can't get ourselves out. It feels like a curse. Believe me, I know. I spent over 20 years in my own plan of doing drugs, alcohol, anger, whatever. I felt cursed until I had to make that choice one day to live. And the choices that we make, let me say it like this. If we choose to follow God's plan, the people behind us, our children, our wives, our friends, our coworkers, everybody else are going to feel that change in us. And they'll be blessed by it. They'll be encouraged by it. So stick with God's plan. What is the plan? A plan is a typical diagram or list of steps with details, timing, resources, achievements, objective to do something. But I want to give God a God definition of a plan. It's his desire for us to do. Well, let me put it like this. It's a desire for us to be free. That's his plan. That's his main plan. His desire for us to be free, but we have to follow his plan. We have to follow his plan. Sometimes we never get where we want to get because we don't follow his plan. Sometimes we don't see his plan, so we give up. I know for me, I like to see where I'm headed to before I go to that place. But we have to have faith. We have to have faith knowing that God is going to get us from point A to point B. We have to. We have to understand that God has our steps marked for us if we continue to follow him. And that's the thing. That's the thing about God. He does have those steps marked for us. We may not see those steps, but he has them marked. We just have to continue to follow him and follow those steps. I look at my life. I was doing this message, and God just reminds me of so many different things that he has gotten me out of. And I was just really it's kind of like reminiscing. I don't know if you reminisce, just sitting outside or something about God, but I started thinking about how God brought me here, and I was really just finally just clicked to me, how everything where I am now to how I feel now, because I lost my parents and all that stuff, but I never thought I had a grudge against God for that. I never did. I didn't know that, I would say it's okay, whatever, but I really had a little bit of grudge against God a little bit, because I'm like, man, why I gotta lose my folks so early? And then I think about my wife. I was like, she ain't got no mother-in-law to grab to, none of that. I feel bad for her. She don't have nobody on my side to talk about me too. If you don't, kind of feel bad for her a little bit. Like, I told her one day, I said, hey, sorry, babe, you ain't got no in-laws. It's okay, babe. Like, no, for real, I'm sorry, But I started thinking about God. I started thinking about, even though it hurt, it's still part of his plan. And that's what I have to understand. And that's what we have to understand. It's going to hurt. I'm sorry. His plan ain't all rainbows and sunshine. I'm sorry. I wish it was. I wish I could tell you that, man. Oh, God's plan was so beautiful in my life. I just float in there all day long, No. I had to lose mama, I had to lose daddy, had to lose grandma, had to lose grandpa, had to be addicted, had to be living in some trashy places, had to think trashy, had to think bad, had to do bad, had to get mad. I had to be an angry person. I had to do all this different stuff, meet all these different people, had to duck, dodge, lie, do all this stuff, almost change, not change, go to church sometimes, maybe no, all this stuff, back and forth, back and forth. Back and forth. Some people minister to me. Some people talk to me. Oh, I listen to that person. I won't listen to that. All this little stuff all my life. Just keep on until one day, guess what? One day, just like that. Like he just hit me upside my head. Boom. Now you're ready. I was like, he ever done that to you? Yeah, that's good though. Now, right? I'm gonna get you ready for the thump that God's gonna do. Come on. That's what he did to me. And that's what he does. And I really feel like, I was reading the message and I was like, man, Lord, it's kind of just like, well, son, I just want you to go up there and encourage him, I just want you to go encourage him. So that's, like I said from the beginning, that's what I'm going to do. I just want to encourage you. Because when God comes through, he comes through. But here's what I'm getting at. If you're kind of in a stage right now of, you ever done that? Who you want me to do, Lord? Where you want me to go, Lord? Like, for real. Where you want me to go, Lord? You just like, I felt that way. I don't know about you. Stuff don't always got to be bad in my life to be like, is this from you, Lord? Lord, okay, make sure this is from you because I don't feel anything. But like I said, when God finally popped me upside the head, I started to understand him a little better. I started to understand God a little bit better. And I said, okay, Lord, all that pain, everything that I went through was it was in your plan. It was your plan to get me here. It was your plan to get me there. It was your plan to get me through that. It was your plan to show me how good you really are. It was all your plan. When I read Jeremiah 29:11, I really just read through it. I really didn't understand it. I really didn't understand it until maybe about a couple of months ago. I really started grabbing that, hey, He says, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. And that's the encouraging word. One of the encouraging words this morning is that he has a plan for you. And he knows. And he knows the plan he has for you. So don't think that you're just flying through the air with nothing. No, God has a plan for you. I'm going to read all of it. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plan for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope. Notice that there's a promise there. There's a condition. If you read Jeremiah 13, it says, you will seek me and you will find me when you search for me with all your heart. And that's where we have to be. If you really want to know God's plan, seek him. Search for him with all your heart. And that's something that I'll be honest with you that I really never did until maybe about 2 years ago, probably. I really started to really seek him. And that's when he started laying out my plan. I felt like I was in his plan. I thought I was doing good things. I thought I was in ministry. I thought all this stuff, I thought I was, yeah, Lord. But I guess I wasn't really doing it with all my heart. And hey, man, if you're not in it, you're not going to be in it. You're going to just be stagnant. But when you do it with all your heart, I believe that's when it moves God a little bit more into your life. And then he starts throwing some more stepping stones down your way. Oh, they're in it now. Oh, they're seeking me now. Oh, they're reading now. Let me throw some more stepping stones to them. Keep on and keep on. And then you get revelation. Then you start getting a little bit of things in your mind. Then you start to say, you start catching it little by little. But you have to want it. I'm trying to be nice. I see some things, but I got to be straight up with you. You got to love the Lord. I'm sorry if you don't like me after this, but it's the truth. You have to love God. You have to be a seeker. You have to search for him. He's not going to lay it on your lap. He did a little bit today. He laid a little foundation on your lap. But guess what? We got to seek him for the building materials now. Now we got to seek him. Oh, Pastor T.C. said, I minister, he's going to supernatural things. What does that mean? Oh, that's probably just for him. That's probably just for the mission team that's going. That's probably for the people on the worship team. No, for I know the plans that I have for you. That's a plan for you, young ladies, for everybody in here. No matter how old you are, he has a plan for you. I can't tell you how many times my son ministered to me. I can't tell you how many times that almost fixing to be 7-year-old boy, God speaks to him and it speaks to me. This morning I was getting ready and he walked by. He said, you preaching today, Dad? And I said, yeah. He said, let me pray for you. And I said, pray for me? He's like, I said, shoot, come on, dear. Because it says have faith like a child, don't it? So I was like, shoot, God, bring that faith to that child because I need it. Because half the time I don't know what I'm doing up here. You just told me to go up here and I just follow your plan. But I'm just wondering if that's God's plan for that 7-year-old boy. It's probably his plan to be out there at the children's ministry right now as they walk by. Look at them. I was wondering if all that plan, there goes God's plan right there, y'all look. There they go. There they go, God's plan. And guess what? Hats off, parents. You're part of God's plan. You're doing what God has told you to do. And there they go. Every day, every Sunday I go in there, he quotes me a verse. Somebody gave him a gift, I don't know, but he quoted some verse, and thank you for that. But he loves Kids Church, but that's part of God's plan. I started thinking about when I was young, and I started thinking about when I used to go down this old dirt road, listen to old Johnny Cash. and old hymns in grandma's old car. Didn't know what I was listening to, didn't know what grandma was picking on me about, always going to church all the time, always telling me to come inside, boy, listen to the preacher, get over here. God's plan. God's plan. So God sometimes will bring a remembrance to you. He's a kind God. He'll put a plan in your mind. You may forget, things get crazy, but he's gonna put a remembrance in your mind. A remembrance. When he was with the disciples at the Last Supper, he was laying out his plan for them. He was telling them to stay close to him. It was a plan to love each other. It was a plan to serve one another. It was a plan to tell them to believe in me. He promised them that I would never leave. He would never leave them. Now at that time during Jesus' plan, he was throwing it out to them at the Last Supper. You guys read it before. It was hurtful. I mean, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know the outcome. They didn't understand what he was talking about. All they knew that their teacher was leaving. All they knew that he was leaving. What do you mean, Master? What do you mean? Where are you going? Why? Don't go. But Jesus, being the master planner he is, even then, he was showing them an example of a plan that had to come to pass. And that's my little, I guess if I had to do bullet points, I would do this. I'm trying to put it into words, sorry. I heard it in my spirit, but I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? But God, when he delivers something to you, it has to come to pass. It has to come to pass. I realized that about my own life. I was like, man, like I was telling you, my parents and all that had to come to pass. There was nothing that was going to change God's plan. I asked him, I said, Lord, you didn't have no other plan laid out for me? I couldn't have mama instead of for 10 hours, I couldn't have her for 10 days? My grandmother, why couldn't she be here today? Why did she have to have cancer and die at an early age? Why did I have to be with that man who abused me for a little bit? Why did I have to get molested during those times? You ain't got no other plan for me, God. You serious? But the only conclusion I have for you and the encouragement is, hey, sometimes God's plan has to come to pass. Now, am I going to say, well, that's God's plan for you to get off that hurt? That I can't answer for you. I'm sorry, I wish I could. All I can say is this, that happened to me, but God had a better plan for me. Okay? God had a better plan for me. I could have stayed in that plan and been angry and hurtful and continue to do meth and all that stuff. But I said, there's got to be a plan B. But God ain't a plan B. He was a plan A. So what I'm saying is, whatever you're going through right now, if you have not tried this before, try it. It works. God, what's your plan for me? Or try this. God, what's your plan for me to get out of this anger that I'm in? Or try this. God, what's your plan for me to stop using? God, what's your plan for me to get a little closer to you? What's your plan for me to be a better husband? What's your plan for me to be a better wife? What's your plan for me to be a better daughter? What's your plan for me to be a better brother? What's your plan for me, God? What's your plan for me to be a better worker? What's your plan for me, Lord, to be a better student? What's your plan for me, Lord, to get out of this frustration that I'm in? Lord, what's your plan for me? What's your plan for me? What's your plan for me to stop being so mad at my dad? What's your plan for me to stop, to not have, to have unforgiveness in my heart? I want to forgive. Lord, what's your plan for that? Those are the steps that we got to take. And be specific with God. Talk to him. Let him know. Because let me tell you something, man. I stayed, and you guys know my story. I stayed messed up so many years that I think I've been sober 8 or 9 years. I don't even remember now. But I'm learning that I have all these ugly stuff that's in me. Like, I do get mad. I do get frustrated. So God has to fix those things too. But he has a plan for it. He has a plan for every single thing. He has a plan for that hurt that you may feel. He has a plan for that hurt. But I want to tell you, my friend's house, that we have to let him start his plan first inside our hearts. We have to. We have to. Hebrews 11:6. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who seek him. There is the seek part again. He's a rewarder. He's a rewarder of those who seek him. When you're following God's plan, the reward is freedom. But you got to seek him. You got to seek him. You got to love him. You got to follow him no matter what. Scratches, bruises, misunderstandings, sometimes you just got to shut up and follow. You got to. But I'm telling you, there is a reward. There's a reward. There's a reward for you. And I'm telling you, it's freedom and it's a better understanding of who he is. And it's a deeper relationship with him. I'm telling you, man, I don't think that I'm not God, so I can't tell. But as of right now, I can tell you that it's going to take someone to really, really knock me off God's horse and not believe him no more. Because he has done some things in my life that I could stay up here all day long and tell you about. But I only got a little bit of time and I don't want to bore you to death. I'm telling you the truth. First of all, his plan made to be uproot you like he did me. He uprooted me. He had to, because guess what? He told me about 2 weeks ago, when I was studying this, I was like, your plan was to uproot me because I didn't want to be uprooted. That's right. I would have never let you uproot me. I didn't want to be uprooted. Or let me do it in plain, English. Some of us may not want to quit what we're doing. So guess what? God's plan ain't going to come through. The reward ain't going to be for you because you don't want to quit. You don't want to be a seeker. You don't want to be a follower. You don't want to do what God wants to do. You want to stay rooted in what you're comfortable with. But let me tell you something. God does love you enough to uproot you with you kicking and screaming. Now, you can go back and be planted there where you want to, but the ground ain't going to be the same. Come on. You can. Go ahead. I tried to go back to Oklahoma hundreds of times. I still try to go back. Not because I want to go back there and live, but just because I want to minister now. But back then, you ask my wife, you ask my uncle, I always wanted to go back home. But something always stopped me. God's plan always stopped. So some of you who are rooted in some different characteristics, some lifestyles, some mindsets, you got to follow God's plan so he can uproot that mindset. Young people, I'm telling you, you live in a crazy place, but don't be rooted in this world. Be rooted in the kingdom of God. Follow mama and daddy if they're following God's plan, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. That 7-year-old boy, or my son, will never pray for me if he wasn't following daddy's roots. He wouldn't follow what he sees around here. He was carrying around a book this morning. I think he got it from the Rodriguez kids. We went and ate with them, and they were reading books instead of being on their phone. Now he started carrying around his book because he wants to read now. You never know who's going to encourage them. Like I said, don't matter how old you are, you can still encourage somebody. But I never would have thought that I'd be here. So I know now, Lord, uproot me anytime. Uproot me anytime. Pull it out, prune it, dig it out, push me out. If I don't want to be, if I'm having some kind of resistance, Lord, please just tie my hands together sometimes, Because sometimes we don't want to be uprooted, right? We don't want to quit smoking weed. We don't want to quit drinking beer. We don't want to quit that relationship because it feels good. telling you, man. Oh my God. I wish I can just shout it in you. You know, let go of that relationship. Let go. God has a better plan for your relationships. I'm telling you, let go. You have to let go. I don't want to, David. We'll see where that gets you. I'm telling you, it will get you nowhere. God's not mean. He's firm, but he's not mean. He's not a liar. He tells the truth. Just think of the relationship that he will give you if you follow his plan. A better relationship. They might be more handsome, more fine than that thing you think you got now. I know one thing, I got a beautiful wife, and I thank God for that. I thank God that I follow his plan. Like, you got that for me? For me, Lord. Man, what's up? Man, you are good, man. But I didn't have to give her no beer or nothing. That's a straight sober. I spent a lot of time drunk, so come on. You tell them, you think. All these weddings going on, I was thinking about my wife, and we was going to Houston or somewhere, and she always wondered why I cried when I saw her come down that aisle in that dress. And I told her, I said, I cried because I started thinking about all the things that I had to go through to get to you. All the things that God had got me through just to get to you, honey. That's the truth. All the things I just told you about was for that moment when she walked down that aisle, that beautiful white dress. That was his plan. That was his plan. I could stay here all day and tell you some God plans that came through for me. I'm about to tell you one that's going to be funny. But it's God's plan. Who wants to follow God's plan? Amen. I'm trying to encourage you, man. I'm trying to encourage you the best way I can to follow God's plan today. Young people, I'm telling you, man, follow God's plan. Parents, follow God's plan for your children. I'm going to give you a little, this ain't in my notes, but it's kind of personal, but I'm going to share it this way. As a parent, we all want a plan for our child, right? We all want our children to do something. We all want our teenagers to do something. We all want our kids to be a certain way. That's our plan for them. And man, I had a plan for my daughter, and I thought I was being a good dad by just pointing her the right direction. But I didn't know that I was kind of forcing my plan to her. And it was causing me to be started getting a little bit hostile, Started getting mad a little bit, you know what I'm saying, when they didn't do everything you want me to do. Then I started getting gangster and be like, I told you, don't be doing that, man. What's wrong with you? Start doing that stuff. I get gangster, man, when I get mad. Watch out. But David don't want to be like that no more. But when it comes to your kids, you get disappointed. As she got older, you can't tell them too much after they turn 18. What you going to do then? You can't whoop them no more. I don't know if y'all whoop kids anymore. But let me tell you something about me. Y'all can call police y'all want to. See that belt right there? That's God's plan, baby. All day long. All day. Ask David Samuel. Ask David Samuel when my wife says, I want to tell you, Daddy. Oh, no, Mama. I whooped that boy twice in his little life. And this is all I got to do to him. Boy, what you doing? Nothing, Dad. God's plan works. God's plan works. Try it. Don't try me in hole. You come stop it. No. That's not going to work when they turn 18, 20. And they're bigger than you, probably going to beat you up now. They'll grab that belt. What you doing, punk? Not no more, Daddy. What you want now? Nothing, son. Nothing, son. Here's the keys. Here's my card. You know what? You can have the house, too. Do what you want. But I started to ask God, Lord, what's your plan for my daughter? On my knees, crying like a little baby because I saw her going south a little bit. And I said, what's your plan, Lord? And at that time, he just told me, love her, I'll take care of the rest. And I said, okay. So I did. I shut my mouth on certain things I thought I didn't want her to do. What's up, Destiny? And my wife would be like, don't say nothing. She's coming over. Don't say anything. Lord, please give me the strength. No, for real, this is total truth, man. I used to go, me and my dog go in the backyard, and I'd be like, Lord, please. This is the truth, okay? This is the truth. Lord, please, just give me the strength, Lord. I know what you're planning. I don't need to shut up, Lord. Please, I don't want to end my relationship with my daughter. I don't want to send them back to her, Lord. Please. You know what? You got to coach yourself with God's plan. And some of us are thinking, like, I'm her parent. I'll tell her what. No. I tried that. And God told me, no, that's my kid. I said, okay. There's God's plan for us being a dad. He's going to show us how he wants us to do it. Because sometimes you have to just, if you want control back for your kid, you got to let control go. I learned that the hard way. I had to let go of the control. I didn't know I was trying to control her. Okay? But now, I see her doing things. Now, she don't always do things right, but me and her have an agreement. Now, our relationship is better now. Amen. It is. Now she calls me daddy again, or dad. And when I hug her, she hugs me and she means it. You know what I'm saying? Used to be like, so we had beef, man. Me and my daughter had beef. Jennifer's be like, both of y'all are just alike. That's why y'all beefing all the time. That's y'all's problem. Both of y'all are alike. And that's true. Me and my daughter, man, hey, what's up? We come in the house like, what's up, Battiest? You know what I'm saying? We both got the same look in my house. She be like, where Jen at? And she over there. We all go gangster in my house. We're mad at each other. So she's like, where Jen at? I want to talk to her. I was like, it's over there. Close my door before you go. Don't stay too long either. Man, you understand, boy. Me and my daughter had beef, man. I'm telling you. That's the truth. God runs my family, man. I'll tell you, man. He does. But he told me about her. And when I saw her do something right, when I see her start doing things, he said, see, she's changing slowly. Not as much as you want to, son, but she's coming around. And I said, well, give me the eyes, give me the spirit to see that so I'll know, that'll encourage me, you know? And sure enough, man, certain things she does now, I'm like, oh, you see what she did? He's like, yeah, wow. Now, I have peace in my heart. Amen. And that's what he wants as parents. That's right. That's the reward. That's the reward as parents. That's the reward as parents. That's the reward as parents. We want that peace. It ain't about them having a fancy career or making a bunch of money or owning all these businesses and, oh, my son and daughter, this. No, it's about that peace. It's about him being in their image. He'll take care of all the other rest. He'll take care of that rest. He'll take care of the career. And if they're not in the career that you want to, hey, don't shut them down. That might be where God wants them to be. My daughter is chasing a career right now that I didn't even know I didn't know that was in her. She's so little. You know, she's a correctional officer, you know? Like, she's little. I was like, where'd you follow that at? Like, who put that? We used to run from the police. Like, you got to think backwards. Like, you wearing a badge, I need to kick that badge, you know? I'm like, what's going on? Don't pull up on your police car at my house. Shoot, man. I'm like, why you following that? Like, no, I'm serious. I told some of my homeboys about that with my cousins, you know, and they were like, for real? Nah. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, go Destiny, my babe. But I forgot my grandpa, I think he was a correctional officer, right, Uncle? So God reminded me about that. I said, oh, that's your plan. She just following a grandfather that she never met. Maybe he planted some seeds in her somewhere. I don't know. But there she goes. So I said, go on then, Destiny. Now she's going to be getting her own apartment soon. Got her own little car. Man. Telling you. Now, I hope she don't quit tomorrow, so next week I'll be like, oh, she quit. I was scared to tell testimony sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Because then you're like, for real? Like, but God told me, but I feel like God said, no, that was my plan. It be her plan, she quits. But she's in a good spot, and I just want to encourage you parents to just go with God's plan. Amen. A lot of you guys know that I hurt my leg, and man, I was mad about that. I thought that I got done wrong. I really did. It was a safety issue, and it hurt my leg real bad, man. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do nothing. And it's still bruised up, and I still got a knot on there, you know, but I can walk now. But I was so mad that I wanted to send emails, and I wanted to tell them what I thought. And how many of you guys at your workplace right now probably can just, you ain't got to raise your hand, but maybe you feel like, you know, you're kind of being looked over, you know, you're doing everybody else's work, you know, you're just unfair. How come that person don't pay me enough? They don't do it. Thank you. And people don't, you know, you're just being done wrong, in other words. You know, I'm in that stage right now. Can I be honest with you? I don't want to say too much about my job because I do invite my coworkers to work. And I know y'all got my back. Yeah, there's that fool right there. That's David's coworker. No, I was kidding. But you know, I just felt like that. And I was going to quit, honestly. I'll tell my wife, I said, you know, I'm just going to quit. After almost 9 years, I'm just going to quit. She said, well, you know, make sure you do this or whatever. And I really thought I was going to quit, man. But me and God was battling, man. I was battling this whole couple of weeks. I said, man, when I was at home hurt, I couldn't walk. It was embarrassing me. When I took my wife to the store or whatever, she had to pump gas. I love pumping the gas, you know. It ain't got nothing to do with the man thing or anything. I just think a man should pump gas if they're with their wife. You know, that's just me. You know, but she had to pump her own gas, and I was sitting in that car like that. Like, I ain't gonna lie, there's some dudes over there like, man, they probably think I'm a jerk, you know. But I was hurt, man. I couldn't walk. And then I was crying a couple of times. I said, Lord, man, what's going on, man? Why do I feel this way about my job and all that? And when I finally went back to work, I pulled out to go to work, and I heard a message on the radio. It said, God will vindicate for you, and He will restore everything. So after that, I started going. I said, Lord, this is your plan. What's your plan for me? And again, He told me this. He told me, be quiet. Don't say anything. Don't send no emails. Don't give the supervisor the stink eye. Don't, you know, because I started having a chip on my shoulder. You know how we are. Come on now. I'm the only one. You got a chip on your shoulder and be like, hey, can you do that? I guess so, man. You know, but I didn't do that. He bossed me around like he normally does, you know, and does certain things. I was the only one in the hole and digging and mowing and chasing dogs and doing that, cleaning people's bathroom. David, come do this. David, come do that. David. I'm like, what y'all doing sitting in the truck? Like, you know, I just didn't say nothing. And I told God I was going to miss a couple of days of pay, you know, and I thought that was unfair. I thought they should pay. But they used all my time up. I didn't have no more time left, so I didn't think I was going to get paid for the times I thought I should get paid because I was on their watch. You know what I'm saying? Oh, sorry, I got mad. I was on their watch, you know. See, it still comes up a little bit. I was on their watch. It was a safety accident. But God told me, don't get mad. Be quiet, son. I'm going to restore everything back to you. Some way, you know. That's what I thought. That's what I felt. Thursday, I took the mail. I put it on the counter. I maybe looked at some of it. I saw some workman comp stuff there, but it was nothing, I thought. I went to work on this Friday, and I was driving. I was there, and Jennifer called me. She said, hey, did you go through all the mail? And I said, no. I said, why? She said, you got a check from workman's comp. And I was like, for real? And I was like, oh, my God. I was like, you did it again, you know? Like, David almost quit his job because my emotions got the best of me. My plan was to tell them how I feel. Right. I was really going to quit. Who knows what I would have, if I did quit, I probably would have, I don't know. First of all, my family would have suffered. Second of all, I'd be broke. Probably lost my I mean, all kind of stuff could have happened if I would have followed my plan, right? But I shut my mouth, followed God's plan, because he was doing something behind the scenes that I didn't know, because I'm his child. And then I got pulled up and she called back. She said, hey. I was like, what's up? She said, you got another check. I was like, from who? And she was like, some energy company. And I was like, and I started doing the math. And I was like, you paid me for the times I wasn't going to get paid, plus some more. I have some Indian land over there on the reservation, and they lay pipe through there sometimes to do oil. I don't have the oil rights, which I did, but I still might. You never know what God's doing. Might pay off this whole church. But as of right now, I only have mineral rights. So every so often, I'll get a little check. But guess what? It comes in at the right time. God's plan.